Arraignments for President Trump waived.
So based on what's been presented today, I'm not finding the severance from Mr. Chesbro or Powell is necessary to achieve a fair determination of the guilt or innocence for either defendant in this case.
After hearing the plea for all 19 defendants. Precautions rising again.
How bad it's going to get, we don't know. As you know, this is a very unpredictable virus. Has shown us that over the last 3.5 years.
As the virus did not take a break. Lee is now a hurricane, with expectations to grow into a massive Category 4 system. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Leon Abutarbush.
And I'm Parsa Kesajadi. Today is Thursday, September 7, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Former President Trump's arraignment is over this morning. However, the judge in the case is skeptical that an October trial date for all 19 defendants will work out. An update.
So based on what's been presented today, I'm not finding the severance from Mr. Chesbro or Powell is necessary to achieve a fair determination of the guilt or innocence for either defendant in this case.
Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee in court when
Arraignments for President Trump waived.
So based on what's been presented today, I'm not finding the severance from Mr. Chesbro or Powell is necessary to achieve a fair determination of the guilt or innocence for either defendant in this case.
After hearing the plea for all 19 defendants. Precautions rising again.
How bad it's going to get, we don't know. As you know, this is a very unpredictable virus. Has shown us that over the last 3.5 years.
As the virus did not take a break. Lee is now a hurricane, with expectations to grow into a massive Category 4 system. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Leon Abutarbush.
And I'm Parsa Kesajadi. Today is Thursday, September 7, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is
Former
Caplin
President
News.
Trump arraignment is over this morning. However, the judge in the case is skeptical that an October trial date for all 19 defendants will work out. An update coming out of Fulton County this morning as Judge Scott McAfee gave an indicator as to how he will preside over the 2020 election interference case.
Reporter Paula Freed has more from Georgia.
So based on what's been presented today, I'm not finding the severance from Mr. Chesbro or Powell is necessary to achieve a fair determination of the guilt or innocence for either defendant in this case.
Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee in court Wednesday, giving the first glimpse into how he plans to handle the sweeping election subversion case in Georgia, all in front of cameras allowed in the courtroom.
Right. So
McAfee ruling Wednesday that defendants Kenneth Chesbro and Sidney Powell, who both filed for a speedy trial, cannot be separated and will stand trial together in a matter of weeks.
Obviously, we're a little disappointed. We filed a motion and it was denied. However, we respect the court's ruling.
Now, the issue before the court will be whether it's realistic that all 19 defendants, including former President Donald Trump, be tried together.
To say that all 19 defendants should be tried together, including ones that don't want to avail themselves of the speedy trial demand, is really just nonsensical.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis has said from the beginning she wants to do just that.
Do I intend to try the 19 defendants in this indictment together? Yes.
But the judge expressing skepticism in court Wednesday about that plan and whether they can put on a massive trial for all the defendants as soon as October 23rd, the date now on the calendar for Chesbrough and Powell.
It just seems a bit unrealistic to think that we can handle all 19 in 40-something days. Are we even delaying the inevitable? If we say there's no severance, aren't we going to have 17 defense attorneys get up here and file motions for a continuance just saying they're not ready?
This as some defendants, like Trump's former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, are trying to get their cases moved to federal court.
I think we've already had some counsel indicating they're on trial in other cases in federal court.
That was CNN's Paula Reed reporting on the story. All 19 defendants have pleaded not guilty in the case.
Hurricane Lee is expected to strengthen to a Category 3 storm by tomorrow. The National Hurricane Center says the storm might accelerate to a Category 4 storm by Friday afternoon. The storm is currently picking up speed over the Atlantic Ocean with winds of 80 miles per hour. It is expected to pass by north of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. The islands may face tropical storm conditions as the hurricane passes by.
The Wall Street Journal put out its list of top colleges, and a couple of schools in our state are moving to the top of the class. Of the 5 highest-ranked public universities, 2 are from the Sunshine State. They are the University of Florida at number 1 and Florida International University at number 4.
During tonight's NFL season opener, the Biden campaign plans to unveil a new ad.
They said millions would lose their jobs and the economy would collapse. But this president refused to let that happen.
The 30-second video called "Got to Work" comes on the heels of a new report from Goldman Sachs that has an optimistic view about the U.S. economy over the next year.
Inflation is still high, but it is moderating here nicely, quickly, moving in the right direction. All the trend lines look good, getting inflation back to the Federal Reserve's target.
The Goldman reports puts the odds of a recession over the next 12 months at 15%, about the same as the chance in any other year.
Meanwhile, the president's son, Hunter Biden, may soon face gun charges. According to a new court filing on an indictment that relates to the gun charges by the end of September, Hunter had received a deal that occurred in June, allowing him to avoid prosecution if he met conditions through 24 months. The plea deal mentioned that Hunter agreed to be guilty due to tax issues and avoid time in jail.
With a new COVID variant emerging this morning, the virus is swirling around the nation and fueling hospitalization numbers. Caplin's Tanissa Senior reports on what the new COVID-19 surge really means.
After months of falling cases, COVID-19 hospitalizations are on the rise for the first time since the beginning of 2023. This slight upward trend has us questioning, should the U.S. brace itself for a surge?
How bad it's going to get, we don't know. As you know, this is a very unpredictable virus. Has shown us that over the last 3.5 years.
It appears the latest COVID-19 variant BA.2.86 may not be too vicious this fall, but health experts does warn against letting your guard down.
People more likely to know somebody who might have COVID or may have had COVID themselves, but admittedly, this is hard to validate because there's just not as much testing.
No one is fully immune from COVID-19, and cases have proven that just about everyone can test positive for this virus. Earlier this week, First Lady Jill Biden tested positive. A spokeswoman for Mrs. Biden says she's staying in her Delaware home dealing with, quote, mild symptoms. President Joe Biden tested negative.
The CDC recommends that people who catch COVID-19 should isolate for at least 5 days, wear a mask until testing negative twice over a 2-day period, and keep up to date with vaccinations.
There's going to be a CDC advisory meeting on September 12th. That is the point where this booster may be recommended broadly for the population. We'll see what happens.
Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Tanissa Senior.
The hottest club in baseball plays later today at Lone Depot Park, and this time I ain't talking about the visiting team.
That's all ahead, and so is the story.
Fall is generally a time of year where most motorists will see falling gasoline prices. A lot of that has
Drivers
to do
are
with the fact that
hopeful the new season will bring a fall in gasoline prices. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
The latest numbers on petroleum prices are fueling uncertainty this morning.
As summer heads into the
Oil prices as of yesterday have hit a more than 9-month record high, with gas prices sitting at about 2 cents more than last year.
As Hawa Izels from our DC Bureau reports, analysts believe that change will be slow to come.
As summer heads into the rear view, now is the time of year where we typically start to see gas prices fall, but it looks like 2023 might have some other plans in mind.
Fall is generally a time of year where most motorists will see falling gasoline prices. A lot of that has to do with the fact that now with summer over, demand for gasoline declines, and that should lead to price improvement.
Moving into the fall season also means the transition of winter gasoline being brought to the pumps, a blend that makes it easier to start cars in cold temperatures and that's cheaper to produce, with the ability to send prices 10 to 30 cents lower per gallon. But this September, Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy says there are still some things to keep an eye out for.
Our hurricane season that is in its prime, certainly a very active one, so we'll have to keep an eye out for any threats. Keeping in mind that much of the nation's refining capacity is in the Texas and Louisiana area of the Gulf. Hurricanes can disrupt the flow of refined products.
There are also factors abroad, like the pressure on global oil prices, as the world's biggest exporters of crude oil have extended production cuts to boost their revenues.
Expectations are now that the Saudis and Russians are cutting oil production for the next several months.
The good news is gas prices remain well below their peak of June 2022, where the national average was just above $5 per gallon. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Hawa Izel.
The Miami Marlins keep their win streak alive, beating the Los Angeles Dodgers for the second time in their series. The game couldn't have gone any better. The Marlins' Joey Wendell drove in 4 runs with Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Jesus Sanchez hitting deep for the Fish. Luis Arias was also able to cash in a run, leading to the Marlins to a big win that puts them ahead of Cincinnati in the race for the National League's 3rd wildcard spot. The final score was Dodgers 4, Marlins 11. The Dodgers are looking to sweep the Dodgers in the series final game tonight at 6:40 p.m. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Leanna Botarbush.
And I'm Parsa Kesajadi. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu. The hottest club in baseball plays later today at Lone Depot Park. And this time, I ain't talking about the visiting team.
And that's still ahead, so is this story.
Fall is generally a time of year where most motorists will see falling gasoline prices. A lot of that has to do with the fact that now with summer over, demand for gasoline declines, and that should lead to price improvement.
Drivers are hopeful the new season will bring a fall in gasoline prices. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes. It's good? Okay.
The hottest club in baseball. Hold on. Sorry. The hottest club in baseball plays later today at Lone Depot Park, and this time I ain't talking about the visiting team.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
Fall is generally a time of year where most motorists will see falling gasoline prices. A lot of that has to do with the fact that now with summer over, demand for gasoline declines, and that should lead to price improvement.
Drivers are hopeful the new season will bring a fall in gasoline prices. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Skirt. They might keep their win streak alive. Here we go. Thank you. I'm really excited. Baseball. Marlins. Chisholm. Jizzy. The latest numbers on petroleum prices are fueling uncertainty this morning. Oil prices as of yesterday have hit a more than 9-month record high, with gas prices sitting at about 2 cents more than last year.
As Hawa Izel from our DC Bureau reports, analysts believe that change will be slow to come. Not ready for that.
Ready, Freddy. The Miami Marlins keep their win streak alive, beating the Los Angeles Dodgers for the second time in their series. The game couldn't have gone any better. The Marlins' Jordan Wendell drove in 4 runs with Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Jesus Sanchez hitting deep for the Fish. Luis Arias was also able to cash in a run, leading to the Marlins to a big win that puts them ahead of Cincinnati in the race for the National League's 3rd wild spot card. The final score was Dodgers 4, Marlins 11. The Marlins are looking to sweep the Dodgers in the series final game tonight at 6:40 p.m. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes. I fumbled that one too.
Tragedy in Florida involving a hot car death and a very young victim. Caplin News reporter Jessica Wayne has the story.
Today, a community is mourning over the loss of a 2-year-old who was found dead in a vehicle outside of a church in Florida.
On Tuesday, one by one, parents were picking up their child from Bethlehem Lutheran Preschool as it was surrounded by police who found the 2-year-old dead in the car, with the main factor leading to heat. During the ongoing investigation, investigators report it is unknown if the incident was criminal or accidental. Currently, no one was detained or arrested following the child's death.
And it's just a shock to see this in our community. I mean, this is a church I've been to all my life, and I can't imagine something like that happening here.
There were other churches as well in Jacksonville Beach that also paid their respects.
I've been asked to also consider prayer for Bethlehem Lutheran Church off Penland Road, where while we were gathering and getting ready to come here, there's been a death of a kid in a hot car.
According to the National Safety Council, Florida, more than any other state, has had at least 6 other kids die in a hot car just in this year alone.
If you have any information involving this case, please contact authorities. And before you leave your vehicle, make sure all passengers and pets are able to safely exit. I'm Jessica Wine, and this is Caplin News.
A tragedy in Florida involving a hot car death and a very young victim. Caplin News reporter Jessica Wine has the story.